Start it up, lady.
You got it.
Hello. We have a special guest with us today. Laura has joined us. Episode 4.
We're actually on the island.
Yeah, I know.
We are.
It's crazy.
We are on the island today. We're remoting in from Fiji.
Island of Extinction. Right over Ellie's shoulder.
I don't know where you're going.
This is where all of Stacy's players are, and
All of Karen's. All of Karen's. One of Stacy's, all of Karen's.
all right.
Episode 4 was called I Like Revenge. So it started out night 9 with the Sele tribe. They get back from tribal, and Adam was fully convinced that Parvati was going home. So he was disappointed, but also happy that he didn't go home.
He's like the kid that didn't get picked in dodgeball. He had no idea what was going on with the vote.
He was like this.
He was, he was
Shocked.
totally clueless. He realizes he was playing all the sides and he was really close to going home. So he was being very apologetic and trying to help out around Gam.
And I thought it was like a little lost puppy. He's trying to help everyone. Oh, Parv, you need water? Are you good?
Yeah,
Right?
he was
Yeah,
like groveling.
He was growling. Everybody he went to basically like slapped his hand. It was like, it was the worst thing you could have ever done.
Exactly. And then it cut to Rob and Parvati. They're trying to find a way out. Like, how do we get back on top again? Because they realize they're at the bottom. Like, everyone else can vote them out at this point. Any thoughts, Laura?
No, I thought it was just awesome, and
You ready to trade me, Ben?
nope. Neither one of my players.
So then it cuts to day 10, and we're at the DeKalb tribe, and they're happy. They've caught another fish.
I love their tribe.
They are just happy-go-lucky, winning challenges.
They're on vacation.
Pretty much, they have
There's even
been.
an octopus involved.
Yeah. Yule, Nick, Wendell, and Sophie, they have an alliance going, as we know. So they're again discussing kind of what their next play is going to be because they all feel that they're not connected.
I know we're doing this early in the morning, but my God, your headband's awful.
Oh, shut up. Nobody told me.
It's like,
Whatever. I don't
looks
care.
good. Looks great. Look like you are day 10 on the island.
all
Time
of
out
you.
real quick. Since we're talking about bandanas, look at moms. Like, I love it. It's like underneath their hair. It's like,
Work it, girl. Yeah. She got aerobics class going.
Anyways, what we now realize is that the DeKalb tribe can see the edge of extinction. They can actually see the island. And so they were looking over trying to see if they saw anybody because they could see the mass.
flag.
Yeah, the
Do
flag
you
that's
remember
up.
the first season when Al and I were talking about this? Could you see the island? Do you remember them ever showing it?
Never.
That's what I thought.
I was surprised.
Yeah, so they could see like the
how
mass
close
they
it
have
truly
on.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like the first time they did it, it was obviously right there in front of them. They didn't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, because they didn't know it was, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know it was a thing.
So now it cuts over to Edge of Extinction, and Amber happens to find a box at the mast where their tree mail kind of comes. And it's said that each person has a chance to earn a fire token, which they know that fire tokens right now are kind of life in the game. They are buying you supplies and advantages and all that kind of stuff. So it was a hard challenge. They had to climb up to the very top of that mountain, and there was 20 pieces of firewood they had to bring down one at a time. So it was a very
Before sunset.
Yeah.
before sunset, so they had a limited amount of time.
I would have probably done one trip and been like,
I'm done. It's
yeah,
not
I'm
worth
good.
You know who didn't need to do it? It was Natalie. Doesn't she have like 3 fire
But
tokens?
she is
Now she has 4.
fire token hungry. She's like, I need as many as I can get while I'm here. That way it'll help me later on in the game. I mean, she is a beast.
She is one of the strongest girls I think
She's
I've
a
ever seen.
CrossFit trainer,
I know
and so
she's a
she was
CrossFit trainer. She's
insane.
incredible on here.
And so Ethan, this is his first task to kind of complete on the edge because he's new. He was working hard. He knew he'd ran marathons, played professional soccer, and then he beat cancer. He's like, I think I can do this. And he struggled the most. As
As
we
when
said,
he had 4 left at the top. That's
Yeah.
when all that
He was on
happened
trip
with him.
16 when he
Yes.
went
Yeah.
down. I thought he was going to faint.
because Natalie was, like I said, was a beast. She was keeping the same pace the whole time. She never slowed down. She kept going. She's just insane. And Ethan got lightheaded a couple times and sat down. Then he kept going, and then he fell into that rock. And that's when the medics had to come over and just told him basically your blood pressure is low. Advise you to really take it easy. But if you keep going, you might pass out. But yeah, he had 4 left, and he really wanted to finish to prove to himself that he could do something. So Natalie finished first. ran into the water and had her
cried.
emotional breakdown. She like broke. Amber also cried. Danny then finished, and Ethan had
I cried.
shut up. Ethan was the last to finish, but on his last trip, all the girls went with him.
I know I had goosebumps. I was like,
yeah,
that was such a
it's amazing.
powerful
Yes.
moment in the show. I mean, it really made them bond over that
Yep.
experience together. I mean, it was such a
That
hard
moment
challenge.
will be in Survivor history. You're probably going to see
Yeah.
that on like commercials for the show or just like,
Yeah.
recap
Yeah.
a lot.
It just showed as much as you're competing against each other, you're competing with each other.
Yep.
It's a hard thing to get through, and they know it's different this year, having the edge of extinction again and trying to get back in the game. And they're kind of all in this fight together. Granted, when it comes down to that challenge to get back in, it's each man for themselves. But right now, you're trying to survive over there with not barely anything.
Right.
For that challenge, when they first brought it up, I thought maybe they'd have to almost like compete, like race, like
Who was gonna be the first
someone gets a
one?
fire token based on that. I mean, that would have sucked.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was like loopholes in that. If they actually thought about it. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. So there was what? How many? They had 20 pieces.
20
of-
pieces of.
So what if they just made like a chain? I don't know how long. Obviously, the walk was long. But what if you had someone who's like, okay, I'm gonna go from here to here with the firewood, and they did all the firewood.
See, I know. I wonder, like, how what were the rules?
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you go down the hill, you pass it off. That person goes down the hill. Then you have someone make that long last stretch to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder. That's bad. Like to work together. Then we go to day 11. We're back at the Selly tribe, and this is when Adam is groveling around camp. He's washing the
pathetic.
pot, trying to get water for everybody, collecting
Thank you,
firewood, when normally he doesn't do anything. Normally he doesn't help do anything around
He's
camp.
cocky.
Yeah. And that's when Parvati and Rob confront Adam. What's your plan? What are you trying to do right now? And they're basically trying to get him to admit to something they could take back to everybody else to make him the target. They're just trying to fish and see what they can get out of him. And he really didn't give him anything. So Rob was like, screw this. I'm just going to make something up and like tell everybody.
You did.
So he went up to Jeremy and Michelle and was basically like, oh, Adam's up to something.
He's
trying
talking to
do
me."
something and about voting people out and just trying to stir it. So we'll see how that goes.
That would be you, Laura. You would do that.
Definitely.
Be like, you know what that bitch said about you?
Yeah, you got to
We gotta vote her
put
out.
the target on somebody else's back. So then we cut to DeCall. And they're basically playing around again, having fun. Sarah and Tyson are like doing pull-ups, and they were like doing curls with coconuts and like doing all this crazy stuff. And they really were bonding. I think they would have a good friendship outside the game. They're very similar
That's
and
what she
athletic,
said.
and yeah. And so Tyson's starting to kind of put it together, and he's actually right that Yule, Sophie, Nick, and Wendell don't have any connections, and they're making an alliance. And Sandra thinks he's full of crap. But little does she know, he's 100% right. They are making an alliance. They're going to go against everybody else. But Sandra's like not listening to him because she wants him gone.
Right.
Because the last week when he talked to Yule about trying to vote Sandra if it came down to it, and Yule ran right to Sandra and told her because everyone thinks she's like the queen of everything.
Yep, she is.
Like, I just don't understand how she's not the first one to go, how Rob's not the first one to go. Like, these
I've
people.
said that since day one. You know they're your power players. Get them out of there. Nope, but they allow them to be in control, and one of them two are probably going to win the money, and hopefully it's my guy
Right.
Yeah, Ben.
or Ben.
Or Ben. So then we cut to challenge.
I literally laughed out loud with this.
Challenge. I know. So we're at the challenge. It's an immunity challenge. Also, the reward is some chickens. Which as soon as they brought up chickens, Kyle starts acting
Oh, yeah.
like
I'm gonna let the chickens go.
Wendy. Talking about Wendy from a couple seasons ago.
Callie's girl.
Yeah. So
Let the chickens go.
this is the most ridiculous part of the entire show right here. DeCall, you need 2 people to sit out. Sandra's hands up
At least she
before,
raised both hands.
before Jeff even finished. Yeah.
She knew going to the challenge that someone was gonna have to say.
I mean, her ass needs to go. Sorry, Marty, but
I don't understand how she won. She hasn't done. I can understand when she won. She was younger, but at this point, she does nothing.
Nothing.
She sits out all the challenges, and anytime she doesn't, her social game sucks.
oh yeah, she's like, yep, I'll do whatever you want.
I'll
to
do it. I'm just as long as
I
it's
feel
not
people
me.
are
I'm with it.
intimidated by her.
Yeah.
I know, but why?
I
Because
did.
she's proved to me that
She's won twice.
she's. I know, but nothing. She doesn't do anything.
Just how she speaks, she comes across a little intimidating
Yeah.
to them, and so get her.
They
out
feel
of
they
there.
need her approval for everything they try to do in the game, and I don't understand why. So this challenge was kind of a hot mess. So there was people in a boat, and swimmers pulling the boat, and they had to get them to a platform. They had to climb up and get 3 keys by jumping off the platform and grabbing them and going back in the water. DeCall's in the immediate lead.
No, but the first 2 people to try to do it
Missed it.
Missed it right off the bat. I mean,
But
it
then-
showed how hard it truly probably was.
But then DeCall gets in an immediate lead because Adam missed like 3 times. Parvati missed 3 times for Sele trying to get it. They'd jump and they'd totally miss the key and fall in the water. And then you got to swim all the way back to the
Adam
ladder.
was like the only one jumping at one point.
Well, and that's what I got mad because he had already had gotten the 2 keys
So,
and no one else was jumping.
There was 3 people in the boat
Only those people could jump.
because 4 people were in the
I
water.
know.
Denise never got out of the boat to jump.
Yeah, she did. She was the first person to.
And she missed.
Well, then she never did again.
No, I
Him
know,
and
but-
Parvati kept jumping, and they're tired now,
Right.
Because they kept having to jump in, swim in
But
the water.
I noticed it
climb
too
up
at the
ladder.
end. Adam was the only one, and I'm like, I understand that maybe they couldn't, but at least try to give him a break at some.
Yeah.
Did an attempt while he's
Right.
trying to get out of the water.
So DeCall gets to the puzzle super early, like super early, putting the puzzle
I
together.
thought they were gonna blow them out of the
Taking
water.
Jeff said
time.
biggest blowout in Survivor history.
Right.
Little did he know what was coming.
So at one point, they showed their puzzle like halfway done.
then
Yeah.
they were taking it apart.
And it looked like it was right. It looked like the puzzle was right.
Right.
Yeah. So Sele somehow came back and won. And first he said the biggest blowout. Then he said the biggest comeback in
Comeback.
history.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. They came back, finished the puzzle, and like you said, all of a sudden they started taking their puzzle apart. The other group, like I don't
It's
know if
halfway
they,
done.
I don't know if they had one piece wrong, and that's what caused the
Right,
whole
yep.
thing not to fit because they couldn't get stuff to go back together.
But then Rob finally won a puzzle. He
I know
finally
because
did it.
I saw him. I'm like,
Woo!
why is he doing the puzzle again? He lost 2 puzzles in a row.
Rob's painful to watch put puzzles together.
Yeah. So Sele wins immunity finally, and they get chickens. So they go back.
Let him go.
So DeCall is going to tribal for the first time in 3 weeks.
But surprisingly, they weren't. No one was making any moves. I mean, they're kind of just all still hanging out around camp.
Nick was
The
very.
first time though, you gotta remember, like when the Selly tribe went for the first time, no one was doing it. There was nothing really to go off from other than like who's
Right.
connected to who.
Yeah.
And then in this case, this was their first time, so they're
No,
going
this
through
is their
that
second
phase.
time. They voted once off already.
Who'd they vote off?
Amber,
Oh, the very first.
the first
Second.
episode, second tribal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
So Nick's immediately apologizing for the puzzle since, oh my god, since he was doing it. It was him and was it him and Sarah? doing
Sarah,
the puzzle?
yes.
Yeah, and
mean-
Tyson and Sarah are talking to Nick, basically kind of reassuring him that he's fine and they're not going to vote
Right, but
him
Tyson
out.
was even saying like, everyone was saying, "Oh no, it's not your fault. It's you're okay. It's okay that we. I mean, it's not your fault that we lost. Whatever." And he's like, "Yes, it is your fault.
Yeah, I know.
You're the one that messed up the puzzle."
Yeah. So everyone at that point was agreeing. Were they talking? It was Nick. I can't even remember now.
Tyson said Nick to everyone.
Tyson tried to like go around and
Say it was Nick.
he went to everybody but Nick, and they said, "Gotta vote
He
Nick
tried
out."
to take total control.
Yeah.
Tyson
and
never really did.
and Tony was like, "This is too easy. If everyone's agreeing to vote Nick, this is way too easy."
He was right.
and
It's
it was.
true.
So Wendell and Sophie are saying to vote Tyson. So they get Tony, Nick, Yul, and Sandra also to talk about Tyson.
But then Tony backs up a little and he's like, "Wait.
Because everything seemed too easy.
Right.
It was-
Why would we get rid of Tyson though when he's a bigger threat than us? When Nick's really
Right.
not.
right.
Like, let's keep Tyson as kind of like a
Because
shield.
he's a shield
on
for
us.
him
Right.
and Sandra. So Tony's
Right.
trying to get Sandra on board to not vote Tyson because that protects them in the long run.
Who do you think voted Kim?
Nick.
Nick.
Oh,
Because he
Yeah.
didn't want to totally split the vote and then have somebody have an idol and then he goes home because Tyson has an idol.
Yeah.
And the odd part was the only person he voted for was the person with the idol that nobody knows about. Kim
Yeah,
has an
Kim
idol.
has the idol.
Yes.
So his whole strategy to vote somebody who didn't have an idol, he voted for the person who had an idol.
So it cuts to tribal and Tony saying how what's been nice about them not being a tribal in 3 weeks is they've been able to build personal relationships with each other and really not be worried about a vote out because they haven't had to go.
Right.
And Yul said that basically tonight's vote will kind of cement lines for everybody of where they stand, which is hard when you have to do the first like real vote off where like there's strategy involved. And Nick immediately sticks up because they talk about the merge. and this always pisses you off when they get to the merge and they're sticking to their old tribes. You always get like furious about it, but
It's Survivor. Every Survivor you have 2 tribes. Eventually you merge. Sometimes you reshuffle.
yeah.
And you're not with that group for more than 7 to 8 days. Like, come on. I know I understand you're on an island, but let's stop with they're my original tribe.
Well, but Nick speaks up and because he's scared he's going to go home and he's like, I'll stick with Dakal at the merge. I am faithful to Dakal at the merge, just trying to save his own ass and not go home. And Sandra then said, like we kept saying, that I'm good with anything that keeps me safe. I don't care.
Just
I'll
not me.
vote with the
Not
numbers.
me.
I'll sit out every challenge and I'll just vote with whoever wants me to vote with them.
And Yule goes on to say how it's hard because you have a perception of how people are going to be before you get on the show because you've seen them play before. And he because calls Tony out, basically says, I thought you were going to be a complete asshole
I love
when
Tony.
we got here. But he was like, you're actually a really, really nice guy and you're funny.
We've seen a
and-
different side of him though this game than in years past. Where
Tony's
playing different
I
this
see
time.
where Yule is. I mean, I thought the same thing when I had him. Like, oh my god, I kind of now that I'm watching it week after week, I
Yeah.
actually do kind of like Tony, like Kyle says. Now. I mean, I do like
Yeah.
him. He's my
As
guy.
you should.
I know he's.
And
good.
then they just talked about like how some people are still starstruck by other people in the game because you've idolized how they've played, and how Kim is starstruck by Sarah, how she thought she was like super cool
too.
when she played, and Sandra basically is like, I don't get starstruck by anybody.
And Nick said that he had a crush on Parv.
Yep.
Every time I hear a giggle at challenges,
Yeah. And then Jeff asked something about, does everybody know the plan for tonight? And everybody raised their hand. So you know there's multiple things
or
going
no,
on.
was someone told the plan?
Told the
tonight,
plan,
and
yeah.
even Tyson raised his hand, and he was the one that was starting it.
because he thought he made the plan.
I know. So then we vote, and it's Tyson. My guy goes home, of course.
I think that's a button.
It is.
Would you
Hold
like
on.
us to call you?
Yes, I'll phone in.
Let's hear your thoughts.
Ring, ring.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding.
Hello. No, I agree with what Tony was saying. I think now Tyson being gone, do I think he tried doing too much this episode and put a target on his back? Yes. But do I think this is going to cause problems for other people in the Jakal tribe? Absolutely. Because now Tony's going to be seen as the biggest threat. He's the next strongest player on that team. And then he goes, Sandra's the next biggest threat. Well, she should be the number one because she doesn't actually do anything, but she has all this like fake power over
Right.
everybody.
But what's the thing with Tony though is why would he be a threat? I mean, he's just kind of gone with the flow. He's contributed at camp and challenges, but it's not like he's real big social. Like he's not pissing people off. He's not talking out of both sides of his mouth.
Just because he's the next physical threat.
Physical threat.
At this point in the game, that's what's considered a threat because you don't know how people are going to compete at individual immunity challenges yet because we're not there.
Right.
So that's what it ends up coming down to. Who's a bigger threat to me, which is always stupid because how you can win challenge without your biggest threat. So it's always something that doesn't make sense, but it's the way the vote has went.
Well, it's true. Like, I'd rather have Sandra go because if she ever has to compete in a challenge, they
She
won't
can't.
win.
Right.
They physically will not win because of Sandra.
Yeah. So I just think it does. It opens a door for other people to be a target because Tyson's been the target since the first time they went to Tribal. They were pissed at Tyson and Amber
Sandra was
and
mad at
Kim
Tyson.
for
Poker
being
Alliance.
the Poker Alliance. So he's before the game even started, he had this target on his back for a stupid comment he made playing a charity poker game 3 years ago or whatever it was.
But all this really, who should go and who's a threat and who's not, is going to change next week. They dropped their buffs.
They dropped their buffs.
Yes.
And they switched tribes. They just shuffle it. So they're not merging yet, but they're shuffling
yeah.
tribes. So
I have a quick question. What about when Tyson gave his token?
To Nick.
To Nick.
I know. I
He
was
did not
shocked.
Put that in Sarah's box. Beyond me.
I know.
And then he said, "Here's a token from your idol" or something like that.
because they were
Or
talking
hero.
about who they idolize,
Who they
and
idolized.
so and so the reason we think he did that is because he thinks Nick orchestrated this against him.
Yeah, he does.
He thinks Nick orchestrated it, and so he got one of his idols out. That's what the point of the game is, or whatever. So I think that's kind of why he gave it to him.
Kind of like a
unjustly.
smug little.
a little
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's an advantage possibly in the game. Why he didn't give it to Sarah
Right.
is beyond me.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how the tribes are going to get mixed up. So we'll be sure that we try to write down what the new tribes are to keep everything
Yeah.
straight for everybody. And this is weird. Michelle makes a comment
I know.
in it that
My jaw
I'm
dropped.
going to be on the island with my ex-boyfriend.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think it's Wendell.
Hold on. So there's 4 guys
Yep.
that are not on her tribe now, currently, with how the tribes are split. Nick, Tony, Wendell, Yule. I think Tony's married, so I don't think it's
Yes,
him.
he is
I
married.
don't think it's Yule because he played so much before she did. So we were thinking it has to be Nick or Wendell. Those are the only 2 guys that are not on her tribe
Wendell
right
makes
now
sense
that
then.
could possibly do it. So he thinks it's Wendell. But I'm just curious to see what that and if they go into any history of the relationship. Did they
Right.
meet just because of Survivor? How long did they date for? I'm just curious now.
Are they back together now? Who knows? We'll find out at the
Yeah.
the finale. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. by
Stuck
the
on
end
an
of it.
island. It's like Survivor just turned into Temptation Island.
Exactly.
Just an added bonus. I'll bring the popcorn next week.
Perfect.
You can't have any yet, Laura.
Not yet.
Not
Maybe
yet.
Someday.
But no, I mean, I definitely think, like we said, it's been kind of slow, but I think it's finally starting to get interesting. They're going to mix the tribes up and, make it a little different. So I think it should be good.
What do you think, Laura? Did you have fun on your first podcast?
Yeah, I've yawned a couple times. Excuse me.
I mean, you're never going to have to call in. You have Ben and Rob.
Right. We'll be calling her after the finale
Yeah.
when she wins.
Yeah, that's,
Laura, we need your PayPal so we can send you the money.
Yeah.
I don't have PayPal. Just drop the cash off at the house.
We can do that too.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
I think that's all.
Anything else? Any other opinions, thoughts,
I don't think so.
predictions? Other than Wendell's the ex-boyfriend.
I'm liking the new tribes. I think it's going to shake things up a little bit and maybe make it more interesting than what we've already seen. I mean, it's been good, but
It's
I
gonna
want
be-
more war. I want more like of people going.
Yeah.
after each
Thunderdome.
I'm curious where Parvati and Rob are going to end up. Are they going to be together? Are they going to have more old school people with them so they'll be able to be safe again?
Could benefit them because right now, I mean, they got rid of
They're screwed.
Ethan, so there's
And
only 2 of
Danny.
them.
Yeah.
So if they end up someplace else where they start forming, I want to see Rob and Sandra together. That's what I want to
Yes.
see.
I think if he finds out that she is the one that sent Amber home,
wanna
he's
see
going to be
them on
out
the
for
same
blood.
tribe together.
He will be out for blood for
He'll
her
be
for
pissed.
sure.
She's sitting on every channel.
And she's still pissed at him for not telling her
He was
after
gonna
being together
play.
for 36
Even though
days.
she
that-
said that she doesn't take things personally. She said she doesn't play like that.
Yeah, she
Oh
does.
yeah, he told me he wasn't playing again.
So I'm
Did
mad
you
at
tell
him.
him?
So clearly, she had told him when they were together, obviously, that she was
That's
going
what
on
I'm
the
wondering.
show.
I don't
That
know.
is not-
at him, like
I'm wondering, right? Did he know? You
Yeah.
know?
I don't know. We shall see.
Yep.
Until next week.
Bye.